episode is proudly sponsored by Champs Boxing Store and Limitless Power Boxing in association with the British and Irish Boxing Authority. Now let's get behind the bell. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Behind the Bell. As by ever, we're joined by Matt. Hi Matt, how you doing, mate? And this week we've got our friends and friends of the show here. We've got Checkmate Promotions, head promoter, it's Kelli Wilkins, and professional boxers, JMP and Ashley Hedges. Hi everyone, welcome to the show.
Howdy, how are you all doing?
Right, so we're 12 days away from turning up the heat. So Kelli, how's it been going putting the show together?
Do you know what? It's been easier than the last show. We all, as promoters, any promoter watching this will know this is where it starts to become more stressful every day. Because there's more, things you've got to finalise. So it's been fairly smooth, to be honest. Little bit of shit, shall we say, from previous fighters that, decided they were going to shout their mouth off. But I'm not here to be disrespected, so move on. And actually, it's been quite smooth, to be honest.
And for people who don't know, what new things have you added to this show?
Well, we've had heating for a start. So we've got like a pig roast on offer this time with all the trimmings, and Beyond Meat vegan burger. I think it's always handy to have food available. However, it's not available to buy when you're there. It's pre-book only. Because it's kind of a strange time, isn't it, for some people? They'll be about to have an early lunch, or they're not going to have their dinner. So I thought, well, let's put on a little bit of food, see how that does, and try and keep everybody happy. So that's one of the new things. We have Ashley making his debut, which is a new thing. We've got Nicole, the Tiny Rebel, on, which is new for us. But she's not new to us. We do know Nicole and her coach fairly well. And a few new faces on the unlicensed part of the card too.
As Kelli just said, you're making your pro debut. How's that camp going?
Oh, mate, do you know what? It's tougher than I thought. A lot tougher than I thought. It's like you think you're ready. Well, in a way, you think you're fit. You think you've got it down. You think, yeah, there's nothing that's going to surprise you. And then it's just the simplest of things can really push you to your limits. And it's like you realise where you weren't doing the work in the correct places, because when it just comes back to little things, like one of the main focuses has been footwork, positioning of the feet, being in the right stance properly. When you haven't worked those muscles that you're fundamentally supposed to be focusing on, you soon realise you can get tired just from doing footwork because you haven't worked their muscles in the right way just yet. So it's been an eye-opener. But it's been a good eye-opener. Every session, there's another block that we're adding to the pile. And it really seems to be making a difference. And it's really, really coming along now. I feel like a more rounded fighter as opposed to just somebody who gets into the boxing ring.
As it is your pro debut, does it feel any different? Are you more nervous this time?
At the moment, no. I mean, it might change on the day. I might get a little bit of pre-fight jitters, but I think the whole thing about nervous about fighting now, I've learned how to curb that type of thing. It's one of them ones. It's the thing that used to make me feel a lot worse was self-doubt. And that's where it was cutting corners, not doing certain things in camp, or maybe not dieting right. But now it's one of them ones. If you don't prepare properly, then you're going to fail. And that's where you'll go down. So it's a case of I believe in myself, believe in my training, believe in what my coaches have told me. And I believe I'm going to win, and I believe I'm going to do it well. So that's just what's keeping me going. So it's just I am just ready to just burst onto the scene now.
Jay, how's camp going for you?
Camp's going really well, yeah. I've had a spot on camp again. So obviously the first couple of camps I had their issues. The last camp I had went brilliantly, but obviously there was issues with the fighters. This camp again, spot on. And I think also what's different now is Ashley's there. a lot as well. So like when I like he's tall and lanky, so when he's running on the treadmill, he's doing it at like a certain speed, and then if I've got to go on and do the sprint after him, I'm like, Kelly's about to like turn it down to go to my speed, and I'm like, no, leave it on that. And then I do the one sprint on like Ashley's speed, and then like the next sprint on it, yeah, we'll put it down a little bit. Like, it's definitely helped like pushed me a little bit, like, because there's that, oh well, if he could do it, that's like I can do it like that. Like, even though our bodies are totally different, but in your head I think, well, I've had 3 fights, yeah, Denny, why is he doing it faster than me? I want to go faster. I want to be the number one guy. And like it's a good competitive, even though like we're not competitive with each other, but I'm sure in Ashley's head he's also thinking like, oh,
I don't want to be in your shadow. I've got to push as well. But yeah, that's exactly it.
Like, so even though we're not at each other, like I'm gonna fucking do it faster than you, like in our heads it probably is there, and it is in my head certainly, like things like running, because that's probably my weakest point. Like, I'm not very fast. I struggle with the running probably more than anything, and I see Ashley running, and I think, I can do more. Come on, James, let your legs fucking move.
I've been watching you, James, and your body transformation you've been posting on Instagram. What a transformation you've gone through already.
Yeah. So
massive round of applause, mate. Well done. Keep up the good work.
It's all down to Kelly, really.
I can take quite a big what's the word? A big proud star for that, because I do think James does, you know, I believe that I could change anybody. I really do. And I challenge anybody, and come to me, give me 10 weeks, live the lifestyle that I tell you to live, and give it 100%. You know, some days you're going to have shit days. You've always got to give it more than 90, but you need to be reaching 100. And I promise you, I'll change your life.
Just don't make him any mac and cheese there, Kelly, eh?
No. James has got a favourite. James is vegan, and he's got a favourite dish, which is his vegan mac and cheese. And it's been such a long time since he had it. And being so busy, like Valentine's Day came, and we don't normally really do anything. We don't really celebrate it. But I remember looking at him a couple of days before Valentine's Day and saying, we're not doing anything this year, are we? And he was like, well, actually, I was like, oh, like, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll make you your favourite vegan mac and cheese for dinner. I'll do you a 3-course dinner. It'll be within your calories. I make that. There's like 6 portions to this mac and cheese, how I make it. And every day he was wanting his mac and cheese. And I walked into the gym when Ashley and James were in the changing rooms, and he just weighed himself. And I was like, how's your weight looking? And Ashley sort of looked at me and went, I've heard the mac and cheese is good. And I was like, yeah. But he's had a 4-day binge on mac and cheese, but he knows what he's doing. I stress about it more than you do, don't I? And I think that's the difficult part, is when you live with your coach. Like, it's like he looked at me and said, well, actually my girlfriend made me my mac and cheese, and now you're talking to me like you're my coach, so it's none of your business. Like, and if I didn't live with him, I wouldn't know that he'd not been naughty, but he'd pushed his calories those days. But when you live with someone, it's quite difficult to, when I'm coming down in the morning, if he's having porridge, sort of looking over his shoulder, being like, you know, make sure you're not adding an extra couple of tablespoons there. And but yeah, it's the mac and cheese is his guilty pleasure, isn't it?
Jay, when you was on the podcast for your episode, you spoke about your mental health. How have you been keeping that in check over this camp?
I find that just being in camp is just like helps to keep me on that. It gives me the routine. Like, it's not very often I have more than a week off. So over Christmas I had 3 weeks, and I was going to go to the gym, but then I was ill. So I just had 3 weeks of no gym, and I ate what I wanted and did what I wanted, really. So by the end of the 3 weeks, I could start to feel like my mental health thinking, you need to get back into like a better routine. So at no point has the camp really felt like strenuous and I don't want to do it, because it just resets my brain, really, I find, and just keeps me where I need to be to live my life, my everyday life, the best way I can. Is just being in the gym preparing for a fight makes everything else work better too.
Same sort of question for you. How's it balancing family life with having a camp at the same time?
It's had its rough patches already. as camp, as you get nearer to the fight, obviously the intensity and how much more training you've got to do comes into play. So at the beginning, it was a couple of times a week, and then it's a couple more. Now it's virtually training all week round. And then my partner said to me, like, why are you doing so much? Like, you never used to do this before. I was like, it's a different game now. We're in there playing with the big guys now. It's not something where I'm going to be able to do 2 days somewhere for an hour and do myself a bit of garden and home training. It's a dangerous game that we play, and it's a dangerous sport that we get into. So you can't go at it half-heartedly. You've got to give it your rules. And when we have a talk about it, that's the main focus point. It's like, look, you want me to do well. I know you want me at home as well, but at the same time, you don't want to see me hurt. And this is where the training comes into play. You've got to focus on your training to get yourself prepared for these fights, so you can go out there, protect yourselves, and do the business, really.
And Kelli, same sort of question for you as a promoter. How's it to balance home life with trying to put an event together and make sure everyone's sorted, but home's sorted? How are you finding that?
I have a ridiculous life schedule. So not only do I promote and coach, I also home ed. So my older two children have been home ed for almost 2 years now. My eldest daughter's just sat at GCSEs. So mixing that with the gym, with the promoting, it is one big juggle. And I literally had this conversation earlier with Ashley, is when you do this, you have to be so organized. Like, I learned something new every fight night of, okay, how can I make the 12 to 14 day build-up easier in my life? Like, what will take away a little bit of the stress that I could maybe give to somebody else? Or I write checklists. James goes mad because there's notepads all around the house, but every day there's a checklist of what needs to be done and then what needs to be done the following day. And like my fighters, I write their schedules out usually on a Saturday or a Sunday evening. Actually, no, definitely not Sunday evening, because I always have it by Sunday evening. I have I call it like my protected time, where I'll spend that couple of hours writing up, okay, what have they got to do this week? Because they also need to know too, they have families, they have a job, and I try and be sort of give as much warning as possible to people about things that are changing in their camp and things like that, because I also understand from a partner perspective, from keeping the house running right with the kids and stuff, that if for everything to work smoothly, you've got to be organised. That it just doesn't work if you're not.
Come up with a new question, because we've gone through so many end questions. So behind the bell, I opened up a boxing Hall of Fame for moments of boxing only. So what would be the best boxing moment that you'd put into the Hall of Fame?
Oh my gosh.
AJ Klitschko before JMP says it.
Okay, why that moment?
Fight, it had everything in it. You had ups, you had downs, you had turnarounds, and it was just, from AJ going out and dropping Klitschko to then being dropped himself, to then have to find his second wind and then have his recovery and then come back and have a dominant ending. It was just, it had everything. Like, if you want a boxing match that's got everything in it, that was it. There was a stone unturned right from the off. That was a pound for the best fights I've ever seen, hands down.
Okay, yeah, Jay.
I think it's probably going to have to be, I mentioned it before, I mentioned Jordan Gill when he was on the ropes, and I sent it to you, didn't I, to watch?
I think you did. Yeah. You did it a
when
while ago.
he was getting beat up, and he just out of nowhere was riding the shots on the ropes and come out with his shot and just knocked the geezer out. I think that's got to be in there.
Okay, Kelly.
That was actually one of mine. There's another one as well. Lee Wood, Michael Conlon.
Oh yeah.
Lee was it was a tough fight for both of them, but Lee was taking some nasty shots, and just out of nowhere, just something in him just pulls out that shot, and it also, I think what made it even more special was from the moment that Conlon went through the ropes, Leewood was so respectful. Like, you could see on his face, it was like, and I think sometimes people think boxing is it's nasty in the sense of, you know, people hate each other, and actually it's the sport, and for him to be so respectful, you know, that was a moment in boxing for me. And I was actually so gutted for him at the weekend, because he was boxing so well, so well, you know. He was boxing brilliantly, and then unfortunately he got caught. So Stevie Levy for me again, away on Matchroom Show. She may not have won the fight, but she showed that she had so much determination and grit, and that she was meant to be there. And I think she gained so much respect from so many people with that fight, that I would put that down in a Hall of Fame too.
Have you got a moment? Because I've just spun that question on everyone.
There's a few. Lee with Michael Conlon, I'd definitely go with Kelly there. This is going to be a little bit negative, but for the Hall of Fame, and it changed boxing altogether, was when Michael Watson got injured, and it changed boxing totally. It's that fight when Michael Watson got injured for me.
It's really, like you said, it's sad, but it changed boxing, so something positive came from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, that would go for my Hall of Fame.
So your mind as the casual fan will be something that happened outside of it, and it's been Del Boy through the table in the press conference.
Yeah.
That would be one of my moments.
James and I had a conversation about this, about how boxers conduct themselves with the face-offs, and I'm so anti that kind of thing, just because I feel I've seen it on the unlicensed scene on some clips recently, and I just feel it's like, you know, at the weekend where Lara spat at Warrington.
Yeah.
To me, like, why is he not being prosecuted for that? If you did it in the street, you would be, and people are looking up to you. Like, you've got kids looking up to you, and you're actually, that's assault. You know, you're assaulting somebody. I'm a bit anti that. I understand people have to sell fights, like world level, but I also believe that, you know, so many people are desperate for the people that do think boxing should be banned or boxing should be this, like, then you must conduct yourself a certain way, because otherwise you're giving the anti-boxing people, you're showing them exactly what they don't want, you know.
Yeah, no, I do agree, but I just think as well, fans have got to understand that it is selling fights. So if you look at it like that, then you can see why things happen. I don't agree with spitting on someone. That's totally disgusting.
But at the same time, like, it's all hype. If you actually do a good enough job, you don't actually have to hype anything.
Yeah.
No, yeah, true. That's that. Yeah, it's that, isn't it? It's. I don't know. I just find I'd be more worried of the quiet ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, I'd be more worried about the one that's standing there in silence.
Mm.
They don't need to. They don't need to. You know, square up and do all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the quiet ones. Watch the quiet ones, man.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Like, I just don't. If you do a good enough job, you don't have to hype the fight. You don't have to do that sort of thing.
No.
Like,
So, are you excited for fight night?
Oh, we are, yeah,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Yeah, no, really looking forward to it. It's our little retreat, really. Like, it's like obviously with Limitless Power coming out now, I ain't got enough time for anything. So it's actually nice to come out and watch a show and be involved in it. But I'm sort of stepping back. I ain't got to worry about if I've got a sponsored fighter or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually quite happy just to sit there, watch a fight, interview the guys, do a bit of commentary, and just enjoy the night. Last time we thoroughly enjoyed it. So
well, I'm going to hopefully be enjoying it on where you guys are watching, at least for the first part. I'm hoping to be out the front a bit more.
Going to join the commentary team, yeah.
With the lifestyle stuff. Jeez.
We've got a new person, got a new commentator.
Oh God, don't do that. I wouldn't be able to do it because I get so engrossed in watching it that I'd be one of those people that pauses constantly, and I'd lose where I am because I don't know how you do it.
That was me on the last show. I'm not going to lie. I was so engrossed, I forgot I had the microphone in my hand.
Give him a kick next time.
Yeah.
You just get lost in it, and especially like getting to know you guys as well. So especially like when your two fights would be on, I don't think there'd be much talking. So yeah, no, we are really looking forward to it. So just before we wrap up, Jay, last message for fight night. What do you want to tell people?
Firstly, thank you to everyone that's already bought tickets to support. I really appreciate that. We've done some great ticket sales. I want to massive shout out to my sponsors, Imagine Building Services and White Fox Event Media, who have been the backbone of the whole operation up till now, and a couple of new guys that we've got on board, Bound for Glory and GO Chimney Services, because they have come in, they've given a bit of an influx to camp preparation, and hopefully that'll be a long, prosperous relationship as we continue to build 2023 after we get this win.
Okay, and same for you, Ashley.
Same thing, same again, really. Big ups to everybody who's bought tickets already. Big shout to my first official sponsor who's been on board for me from the first month, Woodfield Plumbing and Heating. Big shout to those guys. Huge shout out to Kelli and JMP for everything they've put me through already, and just the support they've given me, the insights. It's more than just it's more than just giving me a schedule to do. They're teaching me why we're doing these things. It's understanding it as well as just being told what to do. So a huge shout out to those as well. Also a big ups to people who are still following. If you're following, get yourself to a link, get yourself a ticket, get down to the arena, because as I said earlier on, the beast has awoken and I'm ready for my first victim now. I'm going out there, I'm stealing that show.
And Kelly, I know there's not many tickets left, but why should people snap up the last of the tickets?
I think for those of you that are curious, drop me a message. Buy a ticket on the ticket link. Those of you that are thinking of, oh, I might like Kelly to promote me, or I might like Kelly to manage or coach me, message me. Come and have a chat. I am looking for new boxers to take on board after this show. Come and have a chat with me. I'm around. I'm going to be around more in the earlier part of the night. And I would love to see the VIP tickets all sell out by the end of this weekend. Then we'll only have a few left.
And also, guys, just on our insight of Checkmate Promotions and what we see on her last show, or their last show, is it was epic. There was lights, there was flames, there was great fights, there was JMP and Ashley doing their thing. It was a great night of boxing. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Grab your ticket, you will not be disappointed. I can assure you that.
And if you want to help support Checkmate with sponsorship and stuff like that, if you just look at the graphics behind us, that was all created and gifted by Checkmate as well. So not only are the events things, but just help supporting with growing your business.
We are looking for sponsorship, yeah.
So if you want to be a sponsor as well, click the links below and head you over to Checkmate. If you want to support JMP and Ashley, also check the links below and that will take you everywhere. And hit these guys up. Well, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you very much for having us
Thank you
again.
for being on the show, because you are the show now. Thanks for being a co-guest, and we are so really looking forward to the 12th. So we can't wait to see you guys then.
Yeah, catch up then.